Hello and welcome to the first video for beginners programming in Python 3. So this video we're going to take a look at something called print. We're going to print stuff to the console. Why are we going to do this? Well, I want to, in this series, as soon as possible get started in running useful scripts. And when we do this, we're going to need to print a lot of stuff out to the console, and to do that we're going to use something called a print function which does this. So it's good to get acquainted with this straight away. To do this, I've got a command prompt open in Windows. I'm just going to type Python, and that brings me into the Python interpreter. I think this process this uses is called REPL or something, so read, evaluate, print, and loop. What it essentially does is if I type something in like 50, it evaluates what I've typed and then prints me the result, which is 50. If I put a hello, the string in, it gives me back hello. And when I'm running scripts, this doesn't work. This is this interpreter here, which will interpret what I type and print me the result. When you run a script, it won't print anything out in this way. We actually have to use something called a print function. So very quickly, how does this work? And then I'll go into the details. If I want to use the print function to say, hello, I need beer, which I do because I think this is the third time I've had to go at recording this due to some technical issues, and I hit enter, I get, hello, I need a beer. So what happened there? Well, print is a function. It's identified here, you know it's a function because we've got these parentheses here. And the function's name is print. And this function takes, in this case, a parameter. What we've given here is a parameter. That parameter is a string, so it's a load of characters together which make hello, I need beer. String is a type. We'll cover types as we go through learning Python, and print can take more than one parameter to print actually. So how do I know what print is or how it works? And this is why I wanted to start off with this straight away in this video. So print is part of the Python standard library, one of the so-called built-in functions. You can see I've got the standard library webpage open here, the section for the built-in functions. And one of the things it's really useful, I think, to do when you start learning or a language or programming is to get used to reading the documentation that comes with that particular language. I can't emphasize this enough because I do quite a bit of training at work of people beginning Python and C and stuff like that. And almost all of them use Google and then various big internet sites, say like Stack Overflow, when they don't understand something to go and find the code. And more often than not, the code that they find, they don't understand, they copy and paste it, and things end up very, very bad, and they never get any real understanding of what's going on. And really your first port of call should always be look at the documentation, and more often than not the documentation will solve your problem, tell you what you need to know, and you can carry on knowing you've read the correct solution and you've got the understanding. So let's have a look at print. Even if you've never programmed before, let's go and have a look at what's written for print. And if you've never programmed before, the definition of print here might look a little bit like gobbledygook. So what it is, it's a function with the parentheses and it takes various parameters. Objects here can be more than one thing, separated by a comma. We'll see that shortly. Sep, well, that's the separator to separate the objects that we want to print. And end, a \n, says, \n, by the way, is an end of line, says add an end of line character when we've finished printing our objects. That has the effect of next time we call print, it'll appear to be printing on a new line. The file sys equals sys standard out, well, it says below it's trying to print all our objects to a text stream, so print text, to file. And file in this case, the sys.std out is just the standard out. In the case of when we use the console, when we run files, that'll be the console, so we'll see what the text that's printed. In the case of the Python interpreter, it'll be the Python interpreter, and we see the text that was printed. So bearing in mind that definition then, if we go back and have a look at what we did here, well, we called print. I'll just drop down so we can see the definition above here. And then we had an object that was hello, I need a beer. And then the other parameters here with the equal signs are already defined. I'm going to leave flush, by the way, for much later videos in the course. But the end and the std out, the file, and the separator are all predefined with values here, so we don't need to define them inside the print. It takes the ones that are there. So in other words, it would separate our objects with a space and attach a new line to the end of our string. And it prints then to the standard out, which in this case is the Python interpreter. So we'll cover functions in later videos, don't worry, but I want to get used to already looking at the documentation to understand how things work. So let's have a look at one of these, this sep argument at the top here. So let's say I want to print, let's for the sake of space, I want to print 45. I get 45. Let's add another object in there. So I'll keep my 45, put a comma. I'm going to put a space. I don't need to put a space, but it's a bit neater. And I'll put beer, close the parentheses and execute. And now I get 45 and space beer because they're separated by the space, which is defined by this sep. So I'll press the up arrow. And now what I'll do is I'll put a comma after beer. And now let's give sep another value. So I'll make it have a plus plus, a minus minus, and a plus plus, just to be ridiculous. And now when I execute that, I get 45 separated by a plus plus minus, plus plus, and then beer. So print is a very, very flexible function where we send in the things we want to print to it, and then it'll separate the things we want to print using whatever value we give for sep. And if we don't give one, then it'll take a space. And it ends the line then with a new line character. Now I'm going to exit the interpreter and show the effect of this new line character actually writing a Python script in Notepad and running it from the console. So I'll type exit and parentheses and enter and CLS just to clear the console. So bringing up Notepad then, I've got Notepad in the console here. I'm going to work in a directory, in my case my E drive, in a folder. You can put your files in any folder you'd like, just make sure you know where it is. And inside new Notepad++, I'm just going to type print brackets and just save now, and save this as a Python file. I'm going to find my folder, and I'm going to save the file as, in my case, ch1 output.py. And now you can see that I've got the .py extension. Notepad has recognized that it's actually Python because it's put some coloring. One of the standard library functions here, it's highlighted in green for us so that we know whenever something goes green that we're using something out of the standard library. The parentheses here for this function are in yellow. So let's just go back to where we were before and put hello inside here and see if we can get hello printed to the console by running this Python script. You'll see also in the Explorer that ch1_output.py has appeared in the folder. So to run this in the console, I need to navigate to that directory in the console. So I'm going to go to change directory. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut here and just right click, copy the address as text and just paste it. And now I'm in the correct directory. If I type dir, I can see I've got ch1output.py. I'm going to type cls to clear the screen. Now a bit of a problem I've got for the video is that this path is too long and you can't see the commands I'm typing. Not if I don't want to zoom out too far anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type a command called prompt, and I think it's $G. Good, that worked. I had a moment of doubt then. And that actually, if I type CD, I get the path where I am, but just gives me the arrow, so I've got a bit more space there. So don't worry if you see nothing before this arrow, it's hidden so that I've got more space for the video. So to run our brand new Python script, we just need to type Python, then the name of the script it should run. So I type ch and tab, it automatically completes it for me, hit enter, and we've got hello, just like we did with the Python interpreter. So let's add another line, and I'll put Fred. And now when I run this file and press up, I get hello Fred. And I get Fred on a new line, remember, because in the definition of the print function, the end of each print statement should have a new line character, so go to a new line. So let's change that, and let's make the end character after hello have two minuses, like so. And now let's go back to the console and see what we get. And now you see we get hello dash dash Fred. We no longer get the new line before the next print statement. And again, I can put more than one argument in here. So let's put 45 in here just as another argument. I can define a separator again. Let's make this separator 2 pluses this time. And then the end. And again, run my script and I get hello plus plus 45 dash dash Fred. So that's how we'll be using the print function. We'll call it, give it the objects we want it to print, and then it'll print those out to the console for us so we can tell what's going on or respond to user input or anything like that, but we have some way of printing things to the console. And the reason I want to get out of the interpreting so quickly into Python files and running scripts is because I want to try and do this course by doing things, so trying to do little useful scripts that do something and learning then along the way how Python works. I think that might be a bit more fun than the standard sort of this is an integer, this is a decimal, etc., etc. We'll try and do stuff and learn as we go along. So I hope that was clear. It's quite a gentle start. And yeah, thanks very much for watching. Comments, questions welcome as always. Otherwise, see you in the next one.